Welcome. Well, you're at home with Jim and Joy, and you are an important part of our EWTN family. And we are delighted that you've welcomed us into your home on this Thursday before Palm Sunday. You know, we would love to hear from you. So send us an email with your question or your comment to jimandjoy@ewtn.com. And I pray that you are having a blessed Lent and you are becoming more like Jesus and less like yourself. So today we are thrilled to have back with us Caitrin Bennett. And Caitrin is an author, she's a blogger, a homeschooling Catholic mama who believes that holy marriages can restable our society. Amen. I believe that's true. She is a monthly contributor to CatholicMom.com and lives in Southern Maryland with her husband, Chris, and their 3 young children. And today, she's here to continue the conversation about her book, Holier Matrimony, Married Saints, Catholic Vows, and Sacramental Grace. And you could visit her website at holiermatrimony.com. And I think the beautiful thing we're going to talk about today in the show is about the sacramental grace and all about the marital vows, because we all said them. Did we all fully comprehend what we meant, what they said? But the beauty of the journey of marriage is they unfold before your eyes. Yeah. And you just have to stay faithful in it for the mystery of your beautiful marital journey.
You mentioned that to her. Did you fully comprehend them? She says, I don't think anybody can fully comprehend them until the end.
Right.
You know, as much as you can. So for better or worse, richer or poor, sickness and in health, to love and to cherish. Well, things happen over time, and then you understand the commitment or lack of commitment, forgiveness, all that. But what a great wonder, the sanctity of marriage. And like you said, we're going to delve into the marital vows, your job description, and the power to fulfill those vows in the sacrament of marriage and in the holy covenant that we make with the Lord and with one another. What a great faith. We'll be right back. Plenty more to come. Don't go away.
Welcome back. Well, today our guest is Caitrin Bennett. She's the author of Holier Matrimony. Please go out to her website, holiermatrimony.com. We're going to have a wonderful, very fast conversation with Caitrin because we have much to cover. But before that, we're going to talk about the sacramental graces that come to us in being Catholic. And, you know, we're married 47 years. And you were Catholic. I converted to the Catholic Church. But when we got married in 1977, we got married in the Episcopal Church. So for you as a Catholic, you got married outside the Catholic Church. And so then when you reverted, I converted. And now here we are, fully Catholic, fully alive. We went to the priest and we had the term is...
We had our marriage convalidated.
We had our marriage convalidated. Yeah. And so you might be out there and you said, well, I didn't do that. I got married outside the church and kind of did it the way you wanted to do it, but now you're back in the church, or you're thinking about coming back. I'm telling you this because the sacramental grace that came to us was more. I had a great marriage. I was madly in love with my husband. And God, the power of the Eucharist, the power of that sacrament, the power of that submitting, the authority of being humble. I mean, I would say in my pride, oh, people just wish they had my marriage. Well, and God was like, well, come under my authority and let's see what I can do. So I just say that to you to say, submit to the authority of the teachings of the church. Are they always easy? No. What is the number one obstacle? It's usually pride. And so pray for the purging of pride in your soul, in your mind, in your body, in your marriage, in all your relationships, and come under the authority of Jesus. for whatever that's worth. Anyway, beautiful Caitrin, we're excited to have you. So we want you to tell our family about the book and the way that what other things they could find in the book and how you broke it down.
Right, so the book started just as a collection of biographies, but I wanted to find a spine to kind of unite those. And at first I was just kind of making up my own marriage lessons. Like, this person reminds me I have to be patient with my spouse. So I'm just going to make that the title of this chapter is Patience. Right. And eventually it came to me in prayer that I should go back to the vows that we take as Catholics. Yes. We're not allowed to write our own vows. There's a reason for that. I've been to weddings where the vows are kind of silly, irreverent, and they're definitely not comprehensive, even if they are more serious. And the church gives us this comprehensive job description, like you were saying earlier, so we know what we're standing in witness to, and the whole church bears witness to what we've promised to each other in those vows. So I started plugging those vows into the biographies that I had already chosen, and it all just fell into place perfectly. This is why this saint stayed in my research and I didn't cut this person, because this person needed to represent loving fully, and this person needed to represent loving in sickness and in health, and it just all fit together perfectly. And then the subtitle of the book is Married Saints, Catholic Vows, and Sacramental Grace. So the third theme just kind of came about organically, that the grace holds it all together. The grace of the sacrament.
Let's do the vows.
Okay.
So I want to go. You start with that. You have it right there. The marital vows you and Christopher took.
Right.
Christopher and Caitrin, have you come here to enter into marriage without coercion, freely and wholeheartedly, and you have there fully.
Right.
So coming freely, coming fully. Are you prepared as you follow the path of marriage to love and honor each other for as long as you both shall live? Faithfully, permanent. Are you prepared to accept children lovingly from God and to bring them up according to the law of Christ and his church, fruitfully? What an important question in this more and more pagan civilization. And we have people who are called dinks, double income, no children, and they sterilize themselves before their wedding.
Right.
Okay? So marriage is about, not just about your adult love for each other, it's about the procreation of children. Right. And raising them in the fear and the admonition of the Lord. So that's very important, because other people talk about marriage has nothing to do with children. So that's why we can have same-sex couples being together, because it's not about children. That's how our law changed in the United States of America. Because marriage isn't about children. It's adult-centric and not child-centric.
We're all called to parenthood, even if we don't have biological children or even adoptive children, that you're called to be spiritual parents in the faith to other people who need that guidance. And
you answered the question, we are. Since it is your intention to enter into the covenant, that's an interesting word, of holy matrimony, join your right hands and declare your consent before God and his church. Consent. I understand what's being said, what's being required of me. I consent to this freely, faithfully, fully. God help me, empower me, to do this, but I understand. And that's so important, as we work with couples and so on. And some people have said to me, Jim, we only have 1 or 2 weeks in our church for teaching. What would you do? I go over the marital vows, be absolutely clear about them, answer any questions faithfully, freely, fruitfully, and so on, till death do us part. And because I don't want you coming back to me saying, I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
Okay, because I want to make sure, and if you have questions, whatever, are you really here? Are you giving consent to these things? So I love that you did this. This is page 1.
So much to every single one of those vows.
Yes.
You can just offhand say, oh yeah, I love my spouse faithfully, but what does that mean? And I try to give some concrete ways to do all those things.
I, Caitrin, take you, Christopher, my lawful husband, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do us part. Permanently, in every circumstance and situation. God help me. Right. So this is critical. If you're going to do something with somebody, you got people that are engaged, go over this with them, ask them if they have any questions. Your priest should be doing this, dioceses should be doing this. If you're there and you got authority over marriage preparation, you better be doing this. And use this book. And use this book.
Pick it up for your diocese and give it to all the priests who work with married couples. And it's all in there. These are not my original ideas. This is the wisdom of the church.
Echoing the teaching of the church, and that's what we need to be doing.
And the beautiful thing is that, they don't have to reach out and say, I have to create something. There is so much beautiful teachings in the church. And then you know, as a witness, the people who are in the church witnessing your vows, we are the people in the audience, and we say we will, right? Because we know people who are sitting behind who have been married 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. However, we know the journey you're about to take. These two innocents, they don't have a clue, right? They're just, they're in love, you know? And we used to do premarital counseling, and then we would do what's called a follow-up. And so we'd come back 3 months later, and it would be their marriage follow-up to say, how's all that working for you? You know, as opposed to just being cast out there and like, okay, you're on your own now. You know, well, what do we do when the waters rise and trouble comes, and what is my equipment? How do I cope? What are my skills? You know, and if you didn't have good examples in your parents and have that modeled for you, where are you going to get that from?
You should get it from the saints.
You get them from the saints.
It's a great suggestion.
And you got the saints in here. Tell us, go over with us the format, the structure of the book. I think that's really important. How you work out the teachings on all these areas, those vows that we just heard. How are you manifesting them in your book?
Right, so those 8 vows that you listed, freely, fully, faithfully, fruitfully, in sickness and in health, for better, for worse, rich or poor, until death do you part. So those 8 vows each have a saint or blessed or venerable attached to them. So we're kind of tracing that vow through their life and then discussing what the church teaches about that and how we could live that out in our own life. There are also discussion questions if you're working with a priest or you're doing this in a small group, and a little prayer, which often is written by that saint from that chapter or someone who knew them. And then there's also a conclusion about the Holy Family, because I couldn't give them just one vow. You know, they had to have all of them to kind of recap for us.
Yeah, and the beautiful thing is, like, we might think, I love him so much, everything's going to be just fine. Well, that love usually is going to run dry by the end of the honeymoon, maybe, right? And then it's kind of like, okay, now how do we work this out? How do I do this? And that's not just the saints aiding us and assisting us, but the sacramental graces that come to us. You know what, hon, you know what we need to do? We need to go to confession. Because I didn't love you the way I needed to love you. I was being selfish. I was being prideful. I was being angry. Some of your ways really irritated me. I was being impatient with you. You know, and that's how we work out our holiness with the sacraments. And then going to Mass together, praying together, and then receiving the Eucharist together. And knowing that's where we're getting our superpowers to go back into the pew and to go back home and to be the best wife on the planet and to be the best husband on the planet.
And you can call back to your wedding day and ask God to renew those graces from your wedding day. You're allowed to do that. I didn't know that until I researched for this book. You're supposed to do that. So every day I'm saying, God, by the grace of my marriage 9 years ago, please give me patience right now with my husband because he's irritating me. And I need that. I need that grace.
Now, we renew our wedding vows once a year, but we had a guy, we had heard of a guy, and they had called into our show, and they were married like 50-something years. They renewed their wedding vows every day.
Wow.
Every day they said that to each other. Because you know what? I think that was very wise. Because every day you need that, right?
It's the most important thing you're doing on earth, is getting your spouse to heaven and your children.
Right.
Speak to us about one of those aspects, like freely. How do you unpack that in the book? What saint do you use? If you recall, you got a lot of saints there. How does that work its way out in the book? We hear them in the marital vows, and you got those tags. And that's what you do. You target it in the saints freely. Share with us about that.
Freely is Saints Louis and Zélie Martin, the parents of Saint Therese of Lisieux, because I really saw how they tried to break the chains that were holding them back from being able to love one another and love God freely. Like materialism, like addiction, or just being too attached to things of this world. And they really were able to love with their whole hearts because of that. So I thought that was beautiful. And it rubbed off on many of their daughters.
Right, because they, not only that, their daughters became saints. And the beautiful thing, I think, as parents, is then, you know, God says, they're mine. Those children don't belong to you and Chris.
Right.
Our children don't belong to Gemini, and where we can get controlling and be helicopter-like is when we go into areas of their lives of control and we don't let them go
Right.
to become the people that God made them to be.
Right.
And so what a great example of Zelly and her beautiful husband to really witness that for us.
For better or worse, and you apply that for richer or poorer, you apply that with the saint, and then you unpack it. You give some really good teachings on that until we're parted by death.
Right.
Death do you part. And that's one of the reasons why we can't say, well, I understand completely. Well, we haven't parted yet. I haven't watched you die, or you watched me die, or sudden
Right.
death, or whatever's happening. We've had some close calls. We're going to cancer, heart attack, and so on. And that's why when we renew our vows, we just kind of smile, laugh, and cry, because we've learned so much in that. Till death do you part. What do you have to say about that? Who'd you relate that to?
Well, even hopefully a lot of
Yeah.
young 20-something engaged couples are reading this book. They might think that vow doesn't really matter right now till death do us part. It's not true, because you have to see your marriage as an end game situation.
Yes.
Like, we're looking towards that death, and where are we going after that death? Where's my husband, who I love more than anyone in the world, and where are our children going? So if we don't keep death and the
Yes.
end in mind, we're not going to live the right way today. It's a
Yeah.
memento mori thing, you know.
Right.
Yes.
I love that.
Is that in your book, that phrase?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
I
where
believe so,
got
yeah.
Yeah,
this
we
from.
talked about that last night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and explain to our audience about the Memento Mori thing.
Memento mori means remember your death.
Absolutely.
It's a Ash Wednesday type of connection. Remember your dust, and to dust you shall return. So
Yeah.
live that way.
Right. But we, in our marriage, we want to resurrect that dust, right? Or we want to think that dust has an opinion, that dust has power. And Jesus is trying to say to us, no, every day you die to yourself.
Every day.
So that when the end comes, we will be less attached to this life. And even in the end, you would be able to let go of your spouse, to say, you have prepared me for this journey, and now I can exit this life and go to our Maker, right? The beautiful part of that
Caitrin, we're going to
journey.
take a break at this point. Hopefully we'll have several minutes. I really want you to delve into more fully sacramental grace and covenant to empower the job description that the Lord has given to us. We'll be right back. Plenty more to come. Please don't go away. Wrapping up our conversation today with Caitrin Bennett, Holier Matrimony, Married Saints, Catholic Vows, Sacramental Grace. Praise the Lord. Sounds great. Speak to us more about, you say the job description is like those marital vows. You talk about the saints and how they live that out, married saints. Tell us where the power comes from
The
to
grace
fulfill the vows.
part.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. I liked how Joy said it's like a superpower. You've kind of supercharged your marriage with the actual power of God that you hopefully keep renewing in that grace. You can call back the grace of your wedding day. You can frequently attend the other sacraments to get grace from the Eucharist, grace from the Sacrament of Reconciliation, which my daughter just got for the first time a
Praise
couple
the
months
Lord.
ago. It's very exciting. And you need that to be able to live out these vows, your job description, the best that you can.
Yeah, because we know the devil hates our marriage. And we believe that life, marriage, and the family is God's plan to transform the world. And we have no excuse not to do this well. And God has given us all of the graces to do this. So what is your great hope for this book?
I hope that people would learn more what the vows mean, that they're promising to each other in their covenant, and then call on that grace to supercharge them as they strive to live those vows out better, and hopefully make some married friends up in heaven on the way that can cheer them on, pray for them, and just be a boon to their wedding, their
Well,
marriage.
job descriptions there, as you say, the vows. You have communion with the saints and souls praying for you And then you've got that sacramental grace that is just so important. But we have to apply ourselves to that grace. So we pray more and more, Lord, the grace that you've given to us in our baptism, in communion, in confession, in the sacrament of marriage. And so, Lord, would you stir that up? You say that it's there. Sometimes I'm not aware. And I think just saying yes to it, it's not just that he deposits it, which is so important and we can't do anything. Grace is what we can't do.
Right.
Grace is what he does. But I need to kiss him back. I need to say, stir it up. I need to say, I allow you to. Does God need for me to say anything? I mean, he can do whatever he wants. He's got everything. But it's that cooperation. It's a relationship. So is our marriage. It's relational. And he wants us to love him.
And confession really helps to keep that flowing.
Right, it keeps the waters from being contaminated. Because when we don't go to confession and we don't go to the Eucharist, or if we start telling God how we're going to work this out, it will fail. It will be doomed to fail.
Right.
And we need all of the sacraments so that we can be fully alive, fully in love, and that our marriage would be a witness, that the world would hunger for your marriage and your family.
You know, we were talking about the cover of your book. Maybe you prefer something else when I talk to people about the covers. Maybe so that, but I just kind of like that this couple on top of the cake is not just standing there and they're just kind of like mannequins. They're taking off, they're running, they understand the job description, they understand how much they need God, they come to God in humility, and they want to do that freely, faithfully, fruitfully, and so on, until the end.
Right.
Thank you for the gift that you're giving to the church. And
Well, the book is all about the gifts that the church has given to me and to you all and all married people, and we just have to open them. They're there. The church is offering them to us.
Caitrin, thank you so much, and welcome to the
Thank you.
EWTN family. Pray that you were blessed by this show. Get this book for engaged couples. Get this book as a married couple if you want a holier marriage. And I'm going to use this book with couples that are in turmoil and hopefully are going to be reconciled. Say, maybe you didn't get this, what you were stating to one another, but here it is again. We all need that refresher. We all need to hear it. I'm still growing in faithfully, freely, fruitfully, and maybe you had them in some areas, but you don't understand the fruitful end of it or the free end of it that you give yourself, or embracing all of another. So this is great for engaged couples, married couples, those who are having difficulty in a marriage. God bless you. God bless all your loved ones. Keep it on EWTN. You're an important part of this family. You're never alone. You're always at home with Jim and Joy. Bye now.